All right, so I'll start again. So if you go to File, Append, go to Desktop, wherever you saved your file. The first one, I'll go to Box, and actually let me go File, Open, don't save, and then I'll open this one. And okay, this one. This is named Cube 1. Okay. So I will I should be able to double click, yeah. Box, I will name it. So this is the box I need. I'll save this file. File, open the other one, and this box, wooden box detailed. So it's good to rename your objects. I'm just double clicking wooden box detailed. Okay, so these two I need. Go to File, New, General, Save. Okay, so I don't need this box. I don't even need this light. I'll get rid of the light. I need the camera. Go to File, Append, and go to your folder. And here, once I click on the file, it says, what do you want to append? So we'll go to Object, and then I need wooden box append. So the box comes, and then if you go to shading, it comes with textures. Again, it's called wooden box. Go to File, Append, go back, box 2, append, and then go to Objects and wooden box detailed. Okay, append. So I got this box. And then if I click on the camera, I see this. Now if you want to arrange your camera, you can select. See, if you click on the outline, the camera is selected. See here, the camera is selected. You can either select the camera here, or you can click on the outline here. And then if you hit the N key, go to View, and here the option is Camera to View, because if I click like this, I get out of the camera. So I want to stay in the camera, and I want to change the camera angle. Like, for example, if I click here, the camera moves around. But how can I see what is there in the camera while I do it? So you click here, and now if you move, now the camera is actually moving. Okay, so when you turn this off, you'll see that the camera has changed the angle. So if you want to look at things and want to change camera angle, you do that. Okay. Now I will deselect this, go to 3, and make sure my objects are properly aligned. So this is 1. Okay, so it has to be on the ground. So this object is my wooden box. This is detailed, and then I will Shift D, duplicate it, and move it here. And then there's this modifier I had added, which had 3 segments. Okay, so what I did was I simply deleted this, but I want to check if I can add viewport display wireframe. Okay, so I want to reduce the number of vertices and then still have a. Okay, so this is good. So I will have some softness to it, but I'll reduce the segments, and then that will reduce the number of faces. So this will be my very low poly object, little low poly, and high poly. Okay. And then that's my camera angle, and then I will say, if you want to see the top of it, You can go there and again select this. Look at the top also of the object. And then this object can move slightly left. And now you can arrange your objects so they are in the scene. And I need to move this back, so I can like click that and move it back. And then whatever you want to do, place that say cam, move it out. So you can see I'm clipping some of this, then I'll clip some of this. This is like compositional things, and this stays there. And then I've also rotated some objects, so you can see like a corner instead of seeing the only one side, so two sides. So basic compositional things. And then once you're happy with the camera, you can deselect it, so you can get out of it, do any work, but the camera stays. Okay, so these are my 3 cubes, and now I will add a plane. So add mesh plane and scale it big. So to scale, you can just click on the circle and make it big. And then not anything behind the camera is useless, so you move it around. You can always go to the camera and see how far you can take this plane without getting out into the scene. So I think something like this is good. So only thing is important is what is in the scene. So I get a plane line here, and then I can shift D this and then rotate it 90 degrees and then move it back all the way back and put it so that the scene is covered. So you have this one and this one. They don't have to intersect each other, but just something that covers the empty space there. So this is our camera, this is our setup for the scene. Now we need texture, and then you should rename ground, just backplate I will call it. It can be anything. So now the ground, also this object has a material, and this is called box low poly. Actually all this I will say box high poly. Okay, so both of these have same material, but this is a low poly. This I will add a new material and name it ground, and I will not have any material on the background, just remains white. So this one, texture heaven is a good website. I don't like this Yahoo, but go to texture heaven and you can go to textures and then there's floor. So you can select any floor material you like and then download those files. So I downloaded this one, floor tile. Okay, this one and this another. This has more depth to it. So if you click on this one, our texture will generally have ambient occlusion file, a diffuse file, displace file, normal file, roughness, specular. Okay, so the material has different properties. One is the color, which is diffuse. Ambient occlusion is shadows, which create more details. So this is a black and white image of diffuse. All these other ones are black and white images, but the black and white images are designed in such a way that it can add depth to it, it can add shininess to it in certain areas, and then it can add some shadows to it. So you can download all maps, and now the size of the file is also there. So if it is 8K, then the file sizes are too big. So 2K I think is a good size for our project, academic project. If you are doing professional work, maybe you need more, but 2K works. So you can select the 2K Either JPEG or PNG, doesn't matter. JPEG is good. So you just click on it and save it. So what I do generally is I have a 3D assets folder. So where all my textures are there. So whenever I need texture, I save it here. And sometimes I save textures in the file that I'm working on itself. So this can be like an overall image folder that you have. So you keep collecting your gallery. This is an important thing for us animators. We need a lot of textures, and whenever you work on a project, you get texture. It's better to save it here. Okay, so if I go to tile, this is the tile I save, and then it comes with this. See, this is a specular image. So all are black and white, but they're used for different purposes. So this is for ambient occlusion. This is for roughness. This is normal map is same as roughness map. All right. So you guys say, so if you have wood, I have to go to view medium icon. Okay. So if you have wood texture or something else, I don't know why I have this. Okay. And then HDRI are important. You need HDRI images. I will talk about that in a little while. When I was doing pillows, I downloaded the fabric. For ground, if you want something else. Okay, so this is more like a nature ground, and then again it has black and white images. Okay, so save images there. So back to Blender. Now what we need to do is assign image texture, and what I'll do is let us go to shading. Okay, so this is our ground texture, and you can see that I have this material, I have my principal BDF, and this is what we attached, but there is no image to attach to it. So I will delete this one. So we are back to our basic. Now what you can do is you can add an add-on. Okay, so go to add-on and search for what add-on was it? I forgot the name. It was in render system. Where was it? Node. Yeah, Node Wrangler. Okay, so you can even search for, if you don't know all, you can just say WR and then Node Wrangler will come. Simply tick the box. Okay, for Node Wrangler. This is the plugin we are going to use for our texture maps. And now this is the image. What I can do is I can hit Shift Control T, and then it says which image you want to assign. So I'll go to desktop, 3D assets, ground, tile. And then you have to select all your tile, control this, control. See, there is text and there is some other one. Only select the JPEG images and then you open it, and then you will see that all these images are plugged in with one single click. Okay. And then you want the tiles to be smaller, so you can scale it. So if you say 2 by 2, then the tiles become smaller. If you want smaller tiles, 3 by 3, so the tiles become even smaller. Okay. So Shift Control T with Node Wrangler will solve your problem. For example, in HDRI image, I'll show you the other thing also that I wanted to show you. So this is our camera, and then these are our tiles, and these are our boxes. Okay, so now we'll go to layout again. All right, and here there are two render engines in Blender. One is Eevee and one is Cycles. So Cycles creates, this is Eevee is like a game engine renderer, but Cycles is more realistic effect that you get from Cycles. So you select Cycles, and we will leave everything to there is important thing is denoising. Okay, so turn that denoising on, NLM. All right, there's another one, but I don't want to complicate things. I will show you how to use this one later on, but right now just turn NLM, denoiser. What denoiser does is this is going to use global illumination, and it creates a lot of noise, lot of dots. So denoising get rid of those dots. That's all you need to know now. We will talk about that more in depth later. So that is done. Then render output. So if you go here, now it is rendering at very high. So we'll reduce it to 1280 by 720. So the rectangle becomes the same, but the size becomes smaller. Okay, so now it is rendering 1280 by 720. And if you go to render image, you get an output. Okay, so there is no light. It is just using some default light to do it. So I'll escape it. Now we need to add light. So simply to add a light, all we need to do is add an environment HDRI image. Okay. So in the environment, there is the color option. We'll click on color and say environment texture. And here we are going to use HDRI image. So again, you have to go to HDRI heaven. Instead of texture heaven, we are going to HDRI heaven. Okay. And there are HDRI images. And you can see that this image will create this type of shadow, and this is how the materials will look. Okay, so I'm looking for, like, if you look at my rendering, I have a very daylight kind of a system with nice and sharp lighting. So it is up to you. You can also have soft shadows. So here this is very a daylight system with a clear shadows. Here you can see it is diffuse shadows. Okay, these are diffuse shadows. So download whatever type of lighting you want. We are using something like this. So again, there are big sizes, different size files. So I generally use 2K because just imagine I have so many. Still, I don't have too many, but once you start downloading files, you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So each file is 20 megabytes. So it will fill up your hard disk very fast. So 2K works well, I've seen. So this is done by 2K. So download that 2K file. It's a .exr file. Sometimes you cannot see the preview here. Okay. And then we'll go to open, and again go to DX, 3D assets, HDRI. And in my case, this file is creating that nice light. So open that file. And again, we will go to shading, and this is object. So it will show you whatever selected object and its nodes. Okay, that is important. So if you select this object, it will show that object's node. If you select this object, you can select that object node. But if you go to world, now it is showing that HDRI image that we assigned. Okay. Now if you click here, you will start seeing that object in the scene. Okay, so I'll close this, and then now you can see that object. Okay. So now if you want to change the way your shadows are looking, what you need to do is you need to select this and just hit Control T instead of Shift Control T, you will only hit Control T. So Control T will create these nodes. The environment texture we already have, so I will delete this one. I don't need this. And then I will connect this vector to this vector. Okay. So we have an environment. The environment has an image, and how that image is assigned will be controlled by these. So for example, if you want to change the shadow, you need to change the rotation. So if you see, I can rotate my image. See how it rotated? So that's not the right direction. We can rotate like this. So again, that is not the right rotation, but the Z will rotate the scene around and it will change the shadows. Okay. So you can see how the shadows are changing. So you can control the shadow angle based on the camera, but by default, it is looking pretty good, I guess. So we'll go back to the camera. And here, if you want to make some minor changes, you can change the shadow. Okay. And then if you want longer shadow, you will have to change one of these. Okay, so you can get longer shadows. If you want longer shadows, that is. Okay, and then you can control the angle of the shadows here. Okay, so something like that is good. Okay, so that node wrangler will help you assign these options, and Shift Control T will assign multiple images, and Control T will assign only one diffuse shader. And then either you add a diffuse shader earlier or you later on change it. Now once that is done, now we have shadows, everything looks good. You can go to render and render your image. Okay, so you have roughness, everything is there. And the last thing we will look at is depth of field, how to create objects in focus and objects out of focus. One more thing I wanted to show you is if you think that the roughness is too much or too little, you can fix that. Let me finish this. Okay. I think that, see, that object is very rough. So I'll cancel it and select that object, go from world to object. And here, I think 0.25 works well. If I select this object, I think I had made changes to this already before. So these ones look better, but this was not changed. So make it 0.25, and this one has a normal map color. So you can assign a normal bump map or a normal map also. So this is using a normal map with a normal color to it. And then the displace is, we will look at why to use displace and why to use bump and why to use normal in another class. But right now, just need to understand that this is normal map here on this object. So now the only thing remaining is depth of field. So that is related to the camera. So we'll go to our layout and then okay, I'll change this. And then now you can see that this is the camera. Okay, we have the camera and there's depth of field. So you need to turn the depth of field on. Depth of field, I need this depth of field on. Okay, and now which object should be in focus, which is not in focus, will be decided by here. If you go to viewport display and click on limits, it will show this X. Wherever this X is, that object will be in focus. Okay, so you can change the distance, or you can select the object that you want to be in focus. Okay, so I want this object to be in focus, so I will move this X near that object. Okay, so now that object is in focus, and now we will go to the camera, and you can see that there is no blurring happening because the f-stop is what creates the blurring. So lower the number, more the blurring. So if I say 0.1, okay, you can see that these are totally blurred out and this is in focus. But 0.1 is it's too much. So 0.5 now, or maybe 0.8 or 1. So you can see what numbers work for you. So 0.6, for example, looks good. And then now we have detailed object, focused object, undetailed object, and then go to render image, and that will be your final image. Okay, so that's how you can set up your lighting. That is how to set up your camera, and you can make things in focus, things out of focus, and other things. Okay. Any questions? You guys did not even bother me when I was not saying. I thought you would have any questions for me, but seemed like you didn't have. So hopefully things are quite clear. So you can see that it's really difficult to tell whether this object is low poly or not. Okay, it looks like all the three objects are same, but this is highly detailed, this is less detailed, and this is very less detailed. This is how things are done. Cool. So create a rendering like this and submit it in the chat box so I can see what you got, and if you have any questions, ask me. Okay.